All right. Well, let's get on to another one of your faves. What is this? Is or number 2, or what is this? What is this game?
Yeah, so the reason why these are next to each other is because this is also related to Deck 13, because The Lords of the Fallen, the sequel, reboot, trailer, spiritual sequel, I'll explain that a little bit in a second, but The Lords of the Fallen had a trailer reveal, and Deck 13 made the original Lords of the Fallen game. So it is very weird that these two stories were in the same Gamescom opening night live. But basically, this game originally started life as Lords of the Fallen 2, and I'll get into the history of that in a second. But the creative director these days is saying it's a spiritual sequel, but it actually takes place 1,000 years after the events of the first game. So I'm like, so it is a sequel. Saying it's a spiritual sequel is weird because it's not like spiritual sequel to me is, oh, we don't hold the rights to the game and we just want to make a game that is spiritually. This is a legit sequel. But anyway, like they say it's a spiritual sequel, then it is what it is. But from a marketing standpoint, I think it's a good move because it means that, people, the number 2 can often push people away. They're like, oh, I haven't played the first one or whatever. And this is almost like a reboot in a way. But basically, this game is coming to PC, PS5, and Xbox Series X. So for anyone who doesn't know, the original Lords of the Fallen was a 2014 game that came out on Xbox One, PC, and PS4, and actually got a mobile port, weirdly, in 2017. But yeah, it was made by Deck 13 Interactive. It was one of the first Souls clones at the time. And it got a lot of flack for that because it wasn't a thing. These days, Souls-likes are all everywhere. Yeah. But back then it was like, oh, they're just copying Dark Souls. So it got a lot of flack for that because the design was essentially just lifted in. They did add some elements to it, and the game had a very different feel than Dark Souls. It was much chunkier. And a lot of people often call this game Chunky Souls at the time, which is kind of funny.
That's pretty funny.
It found a decent audience. Not everyone loved it. I quite enjoyed it. But it actually ended up being given away as a Games for Gold title in 2016. And so it actually found a bit of a resurgence when that happened. But yeah, so Lords of the Fallen 2. So I mentioned that there's a bit of history with this. So Lords of the Fallen 2 was actually announced back in 2014. And last week we were talking about Dead Island 2. And they're very similar in terms of these games have changed some developers and kind of had this long period in development. But it was announced back in 2014 with a planned release date of 2017. CI Games were handling development, and they're still involved with this. They're the ones I believe, own the IP, but I'm not 100% on that. But they're working alongside a studio named Defiant Studios. So in April 2020, CI Games confirmed that Defiant Studios had been moved on for the project, and the new studio, Hexworks, based in Bucharest. Is that how you say it? I'm never good with that. Mike would. This is where we need Mike to be able to say that. And Barcelona. So Hexworks are basically, then together with CI Games are now working on this, and it's obviously renamed to The Lords of the Fallen.
Sorry, I got to jump in, because I didn't have a good time before. This is one of the dumbest names, of something that doesn't, I get it if you're up to your 5th or 6th game and then you start to play around with the this or the Predator, or Predators, all this shit. But having this as the second game, even though I get that they're saying it's not a direct sequel, but to call it The Lords of the Fallen and the original game is called Lords of the Fallen is so dumb. Sorry, it's a terrible, they should change the name. They should change it to Lords of the Fallen 2. Does anyone complain about Xenoblade Chronicles 2 or 3? They're not all directly linked explicitly as sequels.
Some people did complain about Xenoblade Chronicles X, though. Xenoblade Chronicles X, though, did get a bit of... There was confusion when that game came out because people weren't sure, is it number 2? Is it named number 2 and then number 2?
But that's better.
I remember
Lords of the Fallen X is better than The Lords of the Fallen. Sorry, I just need to say that.
Yeah, I'd prefer The Lords of the Fallen over just calling it Lords of the Fallen again. So many games these days are just using the same name.
But why not just call it Lords of the Fallen 2?
I agree. I agree. It should be. But basically, the The trailer was also pretty damn high budget and actually had Joseph Quinn, who's Eddie from Stranger Things season 4, who's become a bit of a mini sensation with the whole playing Master of Puppets on top of the thing in the show and stuff. But he was narrating the trailer to Danzig's mother, which at first felt like an odd choice, but it kind of mixed in well, I think. But basically, in terms of the game itself, we don't know that much. They have said that the world is 5 times larger than the first game,
Not sure about
which, yeah, well, it's like the original Lords of the Fallen had very tightly mapped areas. It was very much in the realm of Dark Souls 1, where, okay, I'm going to unlock another shortcut and open that door, blah, blah. It was all interconnected.
Which I love, man, the design of Dark Souls 1.
Yeah, so basically, this followed in that vein, but saying, well, it's going to be bigger, it's like, well, that doesn't necessarily mean it's better.
Yeah. We're on the page of big is not always better, people, audience, you know.
But the last thing, they said that they have a full gameplay reveal planned for later this year.
Okay, interesting. Yeah, you're just, it's all coming up Swinny. If we did this Gamescom stream, you would have been like, the table would have been lifting. Your head would have bobbed down.
That Deck 13 announcement would
Yeah.
have just floored me. I would have been, holy shit.
That's true.